Hello everyone and welcome to the Purple Curtain podcast. This is John.
This is Rusty.
And today we're mostly going to be talking about Sing Out. So, the first thing was, what was your opinion on the video which came out about a week or so ago, I think?
Yeah, roughly speaking, a week ago, yeah. For me, I liked the MV. Like, the MV is one of those MV that enhance the song for you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, when the song came out, I wasn't that enamored with it. I thought it wasn't nearly as good as what they're hyping it out to be.
Yeah.
But the MV kind of saved it a bit. And I think it also has to do with the audio quality too. Radio audio quality aren't the best, but since it's an official music video on their official channel, the audio quality is a lot better.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I think that helped as well.
Yeah, because obviously personally my favourite part of the song is, like the chorus where it all takes off, so the audio quality can make quite a big difference to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it sort of like really boosted that part of the song, which is my favourite part of the song.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the video, and I also like the way that the choreography is brought into the video. It's kind of like, it starts as a group and then the video will sort of like pan to all the individual groups of members doing their own particular thing, and then back to the group again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that too, and I also quite like how the MV is made and how the choreography they fit together. The MV is by I think his name's Kazuma something. Anyway, he made previous MV like the Synchronicity one and the Silent Majority one for Kayaki among many others.
Yeah.
And the choreographer is once again Seshido, and they form a great team. They really make good MVs for Nogi.
Yeah, well, obviously I think I'm not a huge fan of Silent Majority, but the music video for that was great.
Mm-hmm.
And I can definitely see the fingerprints of the person who made those two videos on them,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I really liked it, and I think it's one of my favourite, non-story videos for an idol group. Because, if I was to sort of give my favourite Nogizaka music video, I would give Sayonara no Imi.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this one is my favourite one, which is performance-focused instead of storyline-focused.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Katsuma usually make dance-oriented video, I think. I think he also worked on Kimi no Akibo and Mannequin before. So his MV are mostly dance-focused. And I think it formed a good contrast with the storyline-focused MV Nogi have. And yeah, I think he did a good job for saying that it's a MV you can loop anytime. I also like the giant wooden structure near the end. It's giving strong revolution feeling.
Yeah, and I kind of think it's quite interesting to compare this one to Seifuku no Mannequin. Because I think, you can see the sort of expansion in the budget here. Because what he can do in terms of camera movement instead of just the movement of the members themselves has clearly massively expanded, and it will be interesting to see how this song is performed, especially because there's a chance that this song might go to Kohaku or something like that.
That's true.
Because this is the song that they've been hyping for this year, and Nogizaka seemed to be a fairly solid bet for Kohaku at this specific moment in time.
Yeah.
So if they go, this seems quite likely to be the song that they'll do, so it'll be quite interesting to see how they approach that if it ends up happening.
Yeah, unless the next song is both A, very good, B, sell really well, and C, maybe even a graduation song, there's a good chance that singer will be their crowd song indeed.
Yeah. So, I did quite like the song when it came out. I think I liked it more than you, but I would say that, the video has definitely boosted my appreciation of it. And, you know, like, based on what I've seen people writing about it, I kind of think it's a fairly general feeling about it as well. I think it seems to have been very well received.
Yeah, I haven't seen anyone disliking the MV yet, so I think the MV did a great good job. It really, like when the song came out, a lot of people weren't really feeling it, but I haven't seen anyone saying anything negative about the MV, so the MV definitely did a good job.
Yeah. What do you think about the costumes?
I think it's generally pretty good. I like some more than others. To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of Asuka's, but I generally like the other ones.
Well, I mean, I think it's sort of like, I like the fact that they've gone for a slightly more diverse group of costumes, but that does kind of mean that, you know, a couple of members will inevitably get the short end of the stick with the slightly inferior designs. It's just something that's going to happen if you've got lots of different costumes. I like them overall, though, and I like the fact that they've returned to, like, it's a very, very strong purple theme this time.
Yeah.
And I like it when they do purple stuff.
Yeah, purple's a good color, and it's very symbolic for them.
Yeah. And also, like, we just, a couple of the coupling songs have started to leak out, so I was wondering if you had any opinions about them.
Yeah, to be honest, they kind of give me similar feeling as singles. That is, I'm not quite feeling them yet, but I feel like they're not terrible. Like, I don't hate any of them yet, at least. And a good MV or a good audio quality might just boost them up to a level where I do appreciate them. And throughout Nogi's history, there have been several songs which I didn't appreciate initially that I come to appreciate a lot more. So that's where I currently stand on them. I mean, I might never come to appreciate them much, but I feel like there might be a chance that I'll appreciate them more if something better come out.
They're all songs that I quite like. You know, like, talking about them generally, they're all songs that I quite like, but I would say that I'm slightly disappointed that there's no... Well, I think one of the songs hasn't been played yet. That I've been able to find. So someone found them for me, actually.
Oh,
But I would say that there's nothing like Scoutman or something like even Poppy Pa Pa Pa. There's no like surprising B-side on the single.
That's true.
But I did have a couple of things that I wanted to say about, like, some of the songs specifically. Like Noyona Sonzai, which is the Mayan Asuka B-side. It's an electropop single, and it's quite interesting because I think that Asuka's voice actually suits electropop quite well.
That's true.
I think it's something that I'd never thought about before, but if Asuka ever wants to go and release a solo single, quite unlikely to happen, because I don't think... Have any former Nogizaka members released a solo single yet?
This might surprise you, but I think
Oh yeah,
Rina.
Yeah, that's right. I remember. Yeah, Yamato Rina's done one.
Maybe Hatanaka did too. I'm not too sure. I think they both did it in a similar way. Like, it's like there's some sort of like Kickstarter kind of thing. So I'm not sure does it really count, but it's a single, right? So there's a few songs. But yeah, I like a major more famous Nogi member who graduated and then released a proper single that is backed up by a big company. I don't think so. Not yet.
Yeah, so in the unlikely event that Asuka decides to go solo, because Nogizaka members haven't really done it so far, electropop is definitely the genre to go for her.
Yeah, I can see her doing a lot of electropop. I can actually see her going many styles too, though. Do you remember the Mondo Grasso song? She did a while. There's this artist. His style is kind of interesting. It's not like the usual pop style. It's a little bit I should describe it, a little bit experimental. And Asuka was invited by him to sing one of his songs, and it was quite nice. So I can definitely see Asuka pursue many different style songs if she so decides to.
Yeah. The other thing I kind of thought was Heiko Sen, which was the song which had about half of third gen on. I actually really like Momoko's singing voice. Because we were talking with Vince like several episodes ago how, there are some members in the group who kind of objectively you would say are not good singers, but like you enjoy listening to. I actually really like Momoko's vocals on the introduction to this song.
Yeah, Momoko have a very nice voice, and in general, I like the Virgin song better than the other few coupling songs. So I'm glad about that. I guess Virgin kind of continued their streak of having good song, although I do think this song is weaker than the other Virgin song. But yeah, going back to the topic, I think it's good that when you have sub-unit, you tend to have more chance to have members who have a solo part, and that's when we can hear like Momoko singing voice or Kubo singing voice, and we can appreciate their
because Kuboshi is like just generally a good singer, which I think I wanted to say when people sort of ask me who I think Nogizaka will miss the most if they leave, I always say Ika-chan, because Ika-chan is such a vital component to the vocal mix on all of Nogizaka's songs. And I'm glad that at least Kuboshi definitely can't replace Ika-chan like for like, but it is nice to know that there are other members who could be leaned on slightly more when it comes to recording these songs.
That's true, yeah. When they go through live, people often joke that they can still hear Ikuchan's voice even though she's not there, because usually they half open the mic, so they're singing, but there's still like the recording there. And because the recording there, you can still hear Ikuchan's voice even though she's not there. So it makes me wonder how are they going to handle it once she graduates one day. But yeah, Kubo is someone who still does sing well, and although she's no Ikuchan, she does. It's good to know that there's someone like her in Nogi.
And the 4th gen song, I think I like the 4th gen song. I like it more than the previous 4th gen song that was on the album. But I kind of think it is a bit of a shame that while I think the 2 4th gen songs are nice, but they definitely don't have the same kind of ambitious quality to them that the 3rd gen songs had, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think in general, 4th gen songs aren't quite there. I mean, I'm glad it's better than the album one, but the album one's just very mediocre, I find. So that was another hard task to beat. And yeah, I'm also starting to make me wonder who's the better singer among 4th gen, because we haven't had a chance to really. I don't really have a.
Yeah, we need to actually see them do it, wouldn't we?
Yeah, I don't really have a solo live yet, and nor have they really performed much yet, so it's kind of a mystery as to who can dance, who can sing, etc. So that's something I'm quite curious about.
So, we've having talked a little bit about the coupling songs, we also got some Handshake sale figures as well, like a couple of days ago. And there are some interesting things happening here as well. They feel a little on the low side, which is interesting.
It's actually, I mean, it is just the second round, so it's actually, I think they sell more than the last single.
Right.
And comes to total block sold. But, some people aren't participating in Handshake anymore, so that makes a difference. Like, one notable difference is that Asuka was in the last single, but not in the single. So, that's 25 blocks.
I'm also kind of wondering whether Handshake sales for the album may have also impacted things as well.
Possibly. I think
they do album handshakes, Nogizaka?
Yeah, and usually it's a bit different. It's bit more expensive. Not a bit more expensive. It's a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
But usually they have some special quirk. I'm not sure about this album, but like a long time ago, you can take a photo of the member, and that was for like one of the first album or second album. Like it's the quirk the perk you can get. I'm not sure about this one, but usually they're more expensive and they do drain their fans' wallet a bit more.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's that plus I think, fans would probably budget to get however many handshake tickets it is they want for each single. And then, like the album will disrupt that, so it won't be part of their normal pattern. But yeah, I mean, for one thing, you can sort of see that like 3rd gen and 2nd gen didn't sell as well, I think.
Yeah, I think with a few minor exceptions, I think the biggest difference is the inclusion of 4th gen. Because whenever, like when 3rd gen first came in, they also impact the sale of the 1st and 2nd gen. Like some of the weaker 1st and 2nd gen member, their sale decreased while there's a massive increase in 3rd gen sale. And I think we're seeing something similar here. 4th gen come in and some 2nd and 3rd gen members sale decrease a bit or a lot. Depending on who we're talking about. Some people still sell out, and these are the very popular top members like Kuboshi, Yoda, Minamin. They have no problem selling out. But some others, for example, like Momoko, she have a decrease of 2, which isn't too bad.
Yeah.
It could just be marginal error. The biggest drop is for Lilia. She went from 17 hour 30 to 1 hour 30, so that's a 16 drop. And my guess is that a lot of her fans don't necessarily Oshi her, but she's like their 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, whatever. And these people might be like, let's go check out 4th gen, and because they're budgeting for 4th gen, they will have less for Lilia. But it could just be bad timing because, the way we look at these, that particular block, it might be 499 out of 500 tickets, so that will still be empty.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest surprise is that, unless I've misread the names here, like Tamachan didn't sell a block out.
No, not yet, although she did last time too.
Oh, so... Because I'm pretty sure that Tamachan eventually sold 30 out of 30. I guess it might just have taken her a lot longer than I thought it did. Yeah,
because we're still in 2nd round, so there's still a lot of time for them to sell.
Yeah.
But some people are still like 0, and some of them are the 3rd gen that are like a bit behind compared to their top 3rd gen members. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's good news for Kuboshi, Minimin, and Yoda, who all sold 30 out of 30, and Minabi, like Hoshino Minami, also sold 20 out of 20 because she's got a lower allowance, and Hori sold 29 out of 30. So that's almost a sellout. But I mean, I think that most of the other members have done maybe not quite as, especially 2nd and 3rd gen members, maybe not quite as well as they did before. But I think we might as well talk about how the 4th gens have done. Because, I mean, some of the 4th gens did really well. Mayu sold all of her blocks, which, is, a good performance for this early in her career. And Sakura and Sayaka both sold 15 out of 18, and Kaki sold 14 out of 18. So that's good news for all of those members, I think.
Yeah, the biggest surprise for me so far is Tamura selling, being the top seller. I think she's 16 out of 18, and she edged out Sakura and Kakehashi. And the other surprise is Hayakawa haven't sold out any block yet.
Yeah, well, I noticed quite a few of the 4th gens haven't. So Hayakawa hasn't sold any. Yuri hasn't sold any. Yuna hasn't sold any. And Mio and, I think, more surprisingly, they have only sold 1 each.
Yeah, and there's another thing to note is that they and Yakubo and Kitagawa, they only have 12 total
12
blocks
slots
compared.
instead of 18 for all
Yes.
the other 4th gens.
So it will be easier for them to sell compared to their 18 blocks member. But yeah, these are the members who are struggling a bit, including like Kanagawa. She sold 3 out of 18, and
yeah.
I think you can roughly say these people are struggling a bit more compared to the one that sold above 10. So those would be Ayame, Kaki, Kakehashi, Sakura, and Mayu.
Yeah. I mean, I think the thing that surprises me is Mayu coming first, because Mayu's, I think, too old to really have been one of the specific management pushes. I think if you look at the management pushes, you'll be looking at Sakura and Ayame feel like the most pushed 4th gen members so far. I'm also slightly surprised about Rei, because I thought that I felt she was slightly more popular than that.
Yeah, although, like I said, it could be a distribution thing. If each of those slots, they have like the high 400 amount of tickets sold, and if you're like 95% sold out or 90% sold out, but you still have like a few tickets left for that particular block, it's going to be listed as empty. So it's hard to tell necessarily based on how low your amount is. That doesn't necessarily mean you're not selling out any ticket. It might mean you're selling out a decent amount of ticket, but just not sold out yet. But yeah, we can definitely tell the relative popularity, and it's definitely a bit surprising that, for me at least, that Tamura is more popular than a lot of the other members. But I guess that's the victory for the working class idol then.
Yeah, the victory for working class, and also for, it does show again how, like, Nogizaka fans are much more receptive to older idols.
Yeah,
because, she's quite old for a debuting idol. Is she 19 or 20? I think she's 19.
I can look that up, but yeah, she is. She's the oldest, right? She's the oldest from the 4th gen.
But I think, if we're looking at the handshake numbers, I think the two big takeaway things are firstly that Mayu is even more popular than we thought she would be. Because, on a personal level, I was hoping that she'd be popular because I like her. But she's definitely more popular than I expected her to be. And the other thing is that, perhaps we should be slightly worried about the less popular half of 4th gen. Because Nogizaka management does seem to go by the handshake numbers quite a lot. And I'm, I would be quite unhappy if, unhappy if half of 4th gen ended up getting left behind in the same way that almost all of 2nd gen did.
Yeah, I think we should be a little bit fearful about 4th gen and then like 2nd gen. I'm starting to get a little bit of that vibe here. I think one of the key reason there's this risk is timing. Like we discussed last time, 2nd gen was recruited relatively early, close in timing compared to when 1st gen debuted, so there was really little time between the two groups. And then 3rd gen came long after 2nd gen was recruited. And now we have 4th gen who are recruited quite close to 3rd gen in timing, and I think when that happened, people might be a bit more resistant. And I mean, 4th gen is doing decently well compared to when 2nd gen came about. But yeah, you're right, like half of them aren't doing that well yet, at least at the moment. We can take a look at them comes the 3rd round and maybe it'll be a lot better for them. But at the moment, they're struggling a bit, and there's reason to be worried, especially since 3rd gen is so strong, relatively speaking.
Yeah. So, moving on, I think there was one thing that I wanted to talk about, which was a couple of days ago, I think on Friday last week, Nogizaka's management put out a notice to people, which was essentially just, it's very polite because all corporate communications are very polite in Japan. But
Mm-hmm.
just telling fans to stop stalking the members,
Mm-hmm.
or they would refer them to the police and also, ban them from any further participation in any kind of Nogizaka events.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the first time.
Yeah.
Part of the message is them saying, this isn't the first time we've had to say this, and, I heard from Vince that this might actually be perhaps the fourth time that this has happened. It doesn't... The fact that this is something which has been happening quite frequently for quite a long time definitely doesn't paint the fan base in a very positive light.
Mm-hmm.
Especially
Yeah.
given that, because we've got the stalking issue, but we've also got the issue of fans being verbally abusive, very particularly to Ki-chan and Kuboshi,
Mm-hmm.
to the extent where they had to take time off. And I can't say this for certain, but my experience following what happened with NGT is that I wouldn't be surprised if these were the same people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's actually good that you mentioned NGT because the guy that people been there's been online detected really, so we can be a bit skeptical about what they uncover. But one other thing they uncover, like there's this particular person who they suspect is working for Bunshun and is the one who's supplying the problematic people with the address of members. That guy actually appeared a long time ago in a very early Nogizaka episode.
Right, okay.
He pretended to be he just happened to bump into Nogi. I think they were doing one of their early campaign thing where they were handing out tissue or doing something like that.
So this is like, for the context of people who aren't familiar with this episode, this is only a couple of months after the group started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he pretended he bumped into them. It obviously can be a coincidence now that we know more about him and his background. But yeah, he quote unquote bumped into Nogi and said, "Oh, I'm a fan," and they shake hands, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that was disturbing now that we know what happened in NGT. And it's possible it could be the same gang. I am happy that management is taking some action, issuing certain notice and saying they'll throw you to a police and ban you from events. It's good that they're taking some actions.
I think a lot of fans feel relieved by the fact that Nogizaka's management has been consistently hostile to this particular kind of fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think in particular, I think there was an incident where the police were sort of became involved with something involving a fan who was stalking Nanamin. Is that right? But having been an NGT fan, I definitely do feel relieved by the fact that management seems to be hostile to this element of fans. But the thing is that their management's ability to deal with this only goes so far, because management can't hire private investigators to find out who these people are, and it can't hire hired goons to sort of go and scare them off. All it can really do is to try and make sure that these people don't, enter the specific areas that the members are in while they're on the job. But the problem with this situation is the same problem which existed with the NGT situation, which is that the police simply don't take stalking seriously. And I think it's particularly bad in Japan, but I would say that it's a kind of a universal quality that police forces across the world don't treat stalking as seriously as they should. Because it's quite resource intensive
Yeah,
to deal with.
and there's misogyny involved as well.
Yeah, there's misogyny involved as well. Like, I think the police, generally speaking, just don't take any kind of, any form of sex crime or anything that derives from that. And I think stalking is a derivative of that. Anything which is specifically a crime which targets women, either completely or to a very large extent, I think the police don't take seriously. And it is a worldwide problem, but I think that Japan doesn't deal with it particularly well. Like, in particular, they deal with it badly.
Yeah, there is a limit to what they can do, and that can be a concern. I guess I guess the bright side is that it's good that they're hostile, and maybe that will make them feel like this is not worth the trouble, maybe. And if that's the case, that would be ideal. But yeah, it's hard to know what will happen.
I mean, if I'm going to be optimistic, I would say that I would hope that, the management's, frequent messages about this might make that kind of behaviour less acceptable within fandom circles. And if it's less acceptable within fandom circles, then hopefully the fandom will start to push these people out by themselves. That might, that might be a little bit overly optimistic, but I am hopeful that management's attempts to deal with this will start bearing fruit, and maybe members will become less harassed than they have been in the past. And I do feel a great sense of relief that, you look at things like this and you can say that, there might be Nogizaka staff who are accessories to this kind of behaviour, but as a whole the organisation isn't. And that's something which was particularly scary about NGT, was it started to feel as though the management structure was actually involved in this whole thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think, you and me have always sort of felt that, the members' safety and sort of mental and physical well-being is of paramount importance. And I'm, whatever actions management decides to take to try and clamp down on this, I'm perfectly happy with.
Yeah, I agree.
So there's that. We also got another message from about Yutan, and Yutan is going to leave show business.
It seems like it. Yeah, I don't think it's certain yet, but it seems like people's making that conclusion from her speech, from her last handshake event.
Yeah.
So that seems the most likely case to happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of people are disappointed, but, I think that we kind of have to accept it when this happens. And she's definitely someone who, obviously put in the maximum amount of effort to try and make fans happy while she was still an idol. So, if this is the end of her in public, it's a shame, but I can't say that I blame her for it. If she's kind of decided that the pressure isn't really something she wants in her life anymore, I can relate to that.
Yeah, I think it's also the case that there isn't really too obvious routes for her to continue in showbiz. She's not a powerhouse in singing and dancing like Roti, and she doesn't really have a stable variety job like Nanase, for example, or Chiharu, who's now doing announcing for Asahi television. So she doesn't have a clear route to stick around, unfortunately. So I'm guessing that plays a role in her decision as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think Yutan feels like someone who became an idol because she wanted to be one. I mean, we know that she's like an idol fan. You know, like more a K-pop idol fan, to be honest. But you know, like there's still like an idol fan. So it kind of feels as though maybe like being a Nogizaka member was less of a kind of stepping stone and just more what her goal was in the first place.
Yeah, possibly.
But yeah, like, I mean, I'm sad to see her go, but I definitely respect her decision. Also, you know, like, slightly returning to the subject of 4th gens, there's been, like, one Gakutabi which came on yesterday, which I still haven't watched, and also one from a week ago, and it seems as though this run of shows is going to focus on 4th gens, so, you know, I'm going to try and watch them all because I want to see as much of those members as I can, because I still don't know that much about them, but, like, the previous episode was Mayu, Sayaka, Seira, and memory's so bad. Kakis, yeah. So, yeah, like I was kind of like very pleased to see more of all of those members, but I think Sayaka in particular was someone who, when she first appeared on Nogizaka Kojichu, I wasn't quite sure what kind of member she was going to be, but now that I've seen her in more things, like I've really grown like very attached to her. Like she seems like a really, really nice girl, and she seems to like really try and work hard and do her best with everything she does, so it's kind of hard not to really relate to that kind of person. And you know, like, funnily enough, like, even though I got brain freeze, I thought Kaki was really, really good in that episode. Just like, yeah, like really nice, really easy to relate to. So I already liked Mayu, so I didn't learn as much about her, but I learned a bit more about Seda, who Seda kind of feels as though she's much more like into the whole like comedy side than we thought at first. I think it might just be because she's got like a serious looking face. Got a serious looking face, but like she really got into what they were doing on their Gakutabi, and she looked very, very cool doing it as well. Like the episode was they went to a school and sort of like joined the Taiko drum club. She was really, really good at it as well.
Yeah, I left the episode liking Hayakawa a lot, and like you, I wasn't sure like what to expect of her when they did their 4th gen introduction thing. Like, yeah, they didn't really. I feel like they didn't do too good of a job.
Seda kind of felt like she didn't have much time on that episode.
Yeah, like they didn't really say much about. I don't feel like they really explore her well. But I guess you can kind of say that for the full 4th gen thing. I feel like the full 4th gen introduction episode weren't as good as the 3rd gen one. But I feel like Sarah, in particular, got a particular short end of the stick on that series. Like, I left it not knowing too well what kind of character she was, and when I watched the Kakutabi thing, I ended up liking her a lot. First off, I like how cool she is when she was doing the taiko thing.
Yeah.
I believe she had ballet experience, and I think that explains her posing. Whenever she did the drumming, she was in a very good posture. She looked the parts, and it feels like she can hit the drum quite hard. Yeah. Compared to the other series, she seems more professional, and that was just very cool. It's like it leaves me with a good impression. And also, she just seems like a very endearing person. Like, she seems friendly and enjoyable to be around, and I quite like her after that. So that was also partly why I was so surprised to see her not sell out any slot.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting. I think that Sayaka and Seda are the two members who, you know, of the people I talk to fairly regularly on Twitter, like, those two definitely seem to have had like a really big spike in their popularity.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, like we're talking about a tiny part of the fandom, but like I think that but it does show the kind of like quality of their personality. They seem to like be like very quickly becoming popular amongst people who speak English who are into Nogizaka.
My personal hope, I guess, and maybe a theory, is that, because the Gakutabi episode went on last week, if there was a general spike in popularity, you will only see that in the coming handshake results.
Yeah, I mean, how long does the application for handshakes last for? Is it?
I think it's like 1 day. Like it opened Canadian time not Canadian time, Pacific time, Vancouver time. It opened every Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So Thursday in Japan and then close in like a day. And it's during those times it's open, people go check to see what handshake block is still open, that we are able to tell what handshake block is sold out because of it.
So it's like 7 or 8 rounds, isn't it? So it's probably going to last a couple of months. Is that?
Yeah, it's going to last a couple of months.
Yeah.
And
so that's quite a long time for them to make an impression, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm just saying that because Hayakawa, like if she did have a spike in popularity, there won't be the chance for people to get their hashtag yet.
Yeah.
So if she did have a spike in general popularity, which she might, it's going to be reflected in the next handshake round. So that's something to look forward to. The other reason I was surprised because she was the queen of Principal, and
yeah,
that was not reflected in her handshake. And, Principal is way past. But to be fair, Principal is only watched by a small portion of people. Like, there's only 300, 400, 500 seats per performance. So even if she left a very, very good impression on these people, they're only a small amount of fans, right? But I think on the positive side, it means that whenever people see Hayakawa, she leaves a good impression and people like her more.
Yeah. So I'm really glad that this Gakutabi season has come along, because it kind of feels like we're going to get quite a good look at all of the 4th Gen members. I mean, I would expect there to be one more episode and then it will have covered all the members. Just a couple of quick things before we sign off for this week. Nanase is going to be at Girls Award, and so are Mayan and Asuka. So I think a lot of the fandom are really hoping that there's going to be some kind of interaction between Mayan in particular and Nanase. Because I think they're not going to be going on at the same time, but I kind of think that they will probably have enough time to talk to each other backstage or something.
Yeah, I think a selfie is very likely.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't take much time at all. And they do have a decent amount of time backstage to prepare for stuff, so I'm sure there's time if they want to meet up and talk and take a photo and that kind of stuff.
And I'm sure we're all kind of a little bit starved for general Nanase content, so I'm kind of sure that like all the material about that is going to be retweeted endlessly.
Yeah. Speaking of which, today she just released a video on Instagram of her and I think it's her and Mai Mai and Marika and Searin.
Right. Okay.
And yeah, that's so awesome. Like it's like the 4 legendary member in one video. And
yeah, exactly.
I guess she heard our prayer and she's like, okay, here's something for you guys to ease your starvation.
And I think like those 4 members almost feel as though they were like specifically chosen for me to be watching it, because like Radin is like less popular than those other 3, but I really liked her. So yeah. Talking about Mai Mai, we're only going to like talk very briefly about advertising stuff, but I think it's quite funny that Mai Mai has an advert with, I believe, Nissin. Nissin, the pot noodle company, and Nogizaka have an advert with a rival company who I cannot remember. So Mai Mai is now in direct competition with the remaining Nogizaka members in the pot noodle market.
Yeah, there's this GIF on Twitter, like, why not both?
Yeah, exactly.
Us fans just need to fill our cupboard with, like, cup noodle all over the place and there. Not really healthy though. Nogi is filling their fans' stomach with cup noodles. That's not very nice.
Yeah, we're gonna need more of Mai's benevolent influence to not die from that kind of diet.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's good though. She's getting this. Nissin is quite huge, and it's very, very good that she got this deal.
Yeah, well, I know what Nissin is, so I don't know anything about brand names in Japan. I think the fact that I know what Nissin is kind of like a big enough testament to show how big of a company they are.
Yeah.
So we've got to the end of all the things we wanted to talk about this week. So it's goodbye from me, John.
Goodbye from me, Rusty.